spend my time trying to make things easier, automating tasks, improving workflows, stuff like that, right? And we've also made these tools as programmers that make things easier for people who aren't programmers, like WordPress, MailChimp, Unbounce. These are things that hide the details of programming in HTML, make it easy for non-programmers to be able to create more complex systems, publish websites, create a landing page, publish a newsletter. The problem is that programming is pretty hard still, right? We're creating these complex systems that communicate with other complex systems over a complex network, okay? And we're very opinionated, and so we spend a lot of time arguing though, right? We're wasting a lot of time arguing about which programming language is better. You know, which one has curly brackets and why you don't really want to use that one, and which one has white space, and which one, you know, has indentation and that's better for readability, and, you know, who should be using what. And I mean, we're arguing all the time about this kind of stuff, instead of just creating more things. Which one's easier to learn? Why use one because it's faster, and why use one because it's slower? You know, all this time we're arguing, and we finally start to build something like a framework. Well, then we start arguing about frameworks too, right? Which one's slower, which one has security vulnerabilities, which one doesn't help feed your cat better, you know, anything like that. We will argue about it and waste time doing this. And all that leads to is situations like this and these comments where, you know, trolls start flaming people, and, you know, arguments continue, and it's completely a waste of time, right? Instead, what I'd really like to see is for us to forget about the details like that. Just get over it. Forget about details like which programming language is better, which framework is better, right? And start worrying about things like tools and how we can find the right tool for the job. Of course, because we're programmers, we're going to argue about which one's right. So that's probably not the right phrase to use either. Maybe a better one is going to be use the right tool that makes our jobs easier and makes us more efficient. And I think this is a better way for us as programmers, and you know, I know people aren't programmers, but as a programmer, what I'm really looking for is better tooling. How can I make my job easier so I can create better tools? Well, these tools are going to help me do a better job, and I think instead of arguing with each other about like implementation details, we need to worry about how can we make it easier to create better tools for other people? How can we create better applications? How can we make it faster? So this is an example of one. This was created in Ruby. And all this does is make CSS better. It takes a flat CSS and makes it so it has variables, mix-ins, and different stuff like that. And this is a tool. And this is a tool that people should use to help them in their workflow do better. Now, Compass calls itself a CSS authoring platform, and it uses Sass and provides its own mix-ins to make things like HTML5, CSS3, and sprites easier to do. So these are tools that help as a programmer do something. Whether you like Ruby or Rails or not, what Rails does great is it tries to use and integrate those tools and make it automated so that as a programmer, you don't have to think about using those tools. It just provides them and makes it automated. Right? So that's what's great about Rails. What I'm trying to get to is that I'm looking for the next gen tooling. Things that are going to take us from these simple frameworks and these simple text editors and IDEs to something even better than that. Something like IDE frameworks that, instead of worrying about which language it's using and trying to tell you what to do, it lets you plug in things like Compass so that it just automates it for you and you can do that. And it doesn't try to tell you what to do, it lets you do those things by creating that system. And what would really be cool is something that creates a live feedback system. So you might have a window open with 4 different things in it, and it updates live as you update your code. So you get immediate feedback, like your browser reloading or your unit tests running or something like that, that just gives you immediate feedback. And what that will lead to, hopefully, is programmers developing the next gen programming tools that allow people who are not programmers to start building more complex systems instead of the simple systems we go for. And that's all I've got for you.
All right.
Thanks.